In 1970, a body man melts a bar of lead onto a car fender with an open torch. No mask, no gloves. The shop does not own either one. End of the day, he pours a 5-gallon bucket of used thinner into the dirt behind the building. Today, the lead is a federal OSHA violation. The thinner is a felony. 2 years in prison. The paint stripper on the shelf next to him has killed 88 people since 1980. The degreaser in the parts washer was banned that same year. OSHA did not exist until December of 1970. Every product in this video was used in the last year before the federal government said a word about what a working man could breathe on the job. Subscribe before we start. Number 12. Number 12. Welding galvanized steel without ventilation. Every body shop welded galvanized panels. Galvanized steel is coated in zinc to prevent rust. When you weld it, the zinc burns off and produces zinc oxide fumes. Those fumes cause metal fume fever, chills, headache, muscle aches, nausea, all within hours. Body men called it the shakes and treated it like a hangover. Feel terrible for a day, come back, do it again. In 1970, nobody connected the fumes to the fever. Today, OSHA's welding ventilation standards require local exhaust ventilation or supplied respiratory protection for any work involving galvanized coatings. A shop running the way it did in 1970 faces fines starting at over $16,000 per violation. Number 11. CFC aerosol products. Every body shop had a shelf full of aerosol cans, brake cleaner, spray adhesive, rust-proofing compound, aerosol primer. Every one of them was propelled by chlorofluorocarbons. Nobody in a body shop in 1970 knew what a chlorofluorocarbon was. You pressed the button, the product came out. Those propellants were destroying the ozone layer, the thin band of atmosphere that blocks ultraviolet radiation from reaching the surface of the Earth. The Clean Air Act amendments of 1990 required a full phase-out. By January of 1996, manufacturing or importing CFCs for these products became a federal crime. Every aerosol can on that shelf would be illegal to produce today. Number 10. Trichloroethylene degreaser, TCE, the standard metal degreaser in body shops for decades. You dip parts in a vapor degreaser or wipe panels down with a rag soaked in it. The fumes smelled sweet. Nobody wore gloves. The liquid sat in open trays all day long. Trichloroethylene causes liver cancer, kidney cancer, and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. In 2024, the EPA banned most commercial and industrial uses under the Toxic Substances Control Act. The practice of wiping car panels with an open tray of TCE and no protective equipment is now a violation of both the EPA ban and OSHA's permissible exposure limits. Number 9. Spraying paint with no mask. In 1970, a painter walked into the spray area, loaded his gun with lacquer or enamel, and pulled the trigger. No respirator, no supplied air system, most of the time not even safety glasses. The overspray hung in the air like fog. He breathed it all day. Today, OSHA's respiratory protection standard requires a minimum of a half-face respirator with organic vapor cartridges for automotive painting. For modern isocyanate clear coats, a full supplied air respirator is mandatory because a standard cartridge mask won't protect you. A body shop caught letting a painter spray with no respiratory protection faces federal citations and mandatory abatement. Number 8. Silica sandblasting. Every body shop in 1970 blasted rust and old paint off panels with silica sand, regular sand. The compressor fired it at the metal, and a cloud of fine dust filled the shop. That dust was crystalline silica. The particles were small enough to pass through your lungs and lodge in the tissue permanently. The disease is called silicosis. It's incurable, it's fatal. The dust also causes lung cancer and kidney disease. OSHA's 2016 crystalline silica standard set the permissible exposure limit at 50 micrograms per cubic meter of air. Uncontrolled silica sandblasting generates 10,000 to 100,000 micrograms per cubic meter. That's 200 to 2,000 times the legal limit. The practice is banned outright in the United Kingdom, the European Union, Australia, Japan, and South Korea. In the United States, the engineering controls required to meet the standard make silica sand effectively unusable in a body shop. And this is the part where things stop being funny. Number 7, Hexavalent chromium primers, zinc chromate primer, bright yellow. Every body man in 1970 knew it. You sprayed it on bare metal before paint to stop corrosion. It worked beautifully. It also contained hexavalent chromium, one of the most potent carcinogens ever identified in a workplace. Sanding zinc chromate by hand or with an orbital sander released hexavalent chromium dust directly into the air the body man was breathing. It causes lung cancer. OSHA's 2006 hexavalent chromium standard set the permissible exposure limit at 5 micrograms per cubic meter. Dry sanding zinc chromate with no mask would exceed that limit before the body man finished the first panel. Chromate-free primers have replaced zinc chromate in virtually all automotive work today. Number 6, lacquer paint without a spray booth. Nitrocellulose lacquer was the standard automotive finish through the 1960s. Beautiful when applied correctly, also loaded with volatile organic compounds. In 1970, a painter could spray lacquer in an open shop bay with the garage door cracked for ventilation. The overspray and the fumes went straight into the air outside. The EPA's 2008 National Emission Standards for Hazardous Air Pollutants for Auto Body Shops requires enclosed spray booths with particulate filters for all automotive refinishing. State regulations go further. California restricts the volatile organic compound content in automotive coatings to levels that make traditional lacquer illegal to spray at all. Open-air automotive painting is now a federal violation. Number 5, dumping used solvents. End of the day, the body man had a bucket of used lacquer thinner, mineral spirits, and paint residue. In 1970, he poured it into the dirt out back, or down the floor drain, or into the nearest storm sewer. Nobody tracked it, nobody documented it, it just disappeared into the ground. The Resource Conservation and Recovery Act of 1976 classified used solvents as hazardous waste. Dumping them became a federal crime. Illegal disposal of hazardous waste carries fines of up to $50,000 per day and up to 2 years in federal prison. The dirt behind 1,000 auto body shops that operated before 1976 is still contaminated. If that sounds bad, keep watching. Number 4, carbon tetrachloride, the universal degreaser, carbon tet. In 1970, it sat in the parts washer in every body shop in America. You dropped a carburetor into it, let it soak, pulled it out clean, no gloves. The shop smelled like it all day. Carbon tetrachloride causes liver cancer, brain tumors, and adrenal gland tumors. The Consumer Product Safety Commission banned it in all consumer products in 1970. The same year, the men using it in body shops that year were working with a chemical that was already being pulled from store shelves while they had their hands in it. The Clean Air Act classified it as a Class 1 ozone-depleting substance and phased out production by 1996. The EPA's 2024 rule under the Toxic Substances Control Act banned virtually all remaining uses. A chemical that sat in an open tray in every shop in America is now one of the most restricted substances in the country. Number 3, asbestos, brake pads, clutch facings, gaskets, heat shields, undercoating compound. In 1970, asbestos was everywhere in a body shop because it was in everything on the car. When a body man ground a brake drum or scraped undercoating off a panel, he was grinding asbestos fibers into the air. The fibers are microscopic. They embed in lung tissue permanently. They cause mesothelioma, a cancer of the lining of the lungs that is almost always fatal. The EPA attempted to ban asbestos in 1989. A federal appeals court overturned most of that ban in 1991. It took until 2024 for the EPA to finally ban the last form of asbestos still in commercial use under the Toxic Substances Control Act. 35 years to ban a substance that every scientist on Earth agreed was killing people. You'd think someone would have said something sooner. Nobody did. Number 2, methylene chloride, the paint stripper. In 1970, body men brushed it onto panels to strip old paint. You'd watch the paint bubble and blister, then scrape it off. The fumes built up fast. Methylene chloride is a central nervous system depressant. In a closed shop with poor ventilation, it can cause dizziness, loss of consciousness, and cardiac arrest. Not after years of exposure. After a single use. At least 88 people have died from acute methylene chloride exposure since 1980. The EPA banned it in consumer paint strippers in 2019. In 2024, the EPA banned most commercial and industrial uses under the Toxic Substances Control Act. A chemical that body men handled with bare hands for decades is now one of the most heavily regulated substances in the American workplace. Number 1, lead body filler. Before Bondo, there was body lead, a bar of lead tin solder that a body man melted directly onto a car panel with an oxyacetylene torch. He spread the molten lead across the dent with a wooden paddle, let it cool, and filed it smooth by hand. The lead dust from filing went into his lungs. The lead fumes from the torch went into his blood. He did this all day, every day, for an entire career. Lead is a cumulative poison. It doesn't leave your body. It builds up in your blood, your bones, and your brain over years. It causes kidney failure, nerve damage, cognitive decline, and reproductive harm. OSHA's lead standard, issued in 1978, set the permissible exposure limit at 50 micrograms per cubic meter of air. Melting body lead without ventilation, without monitoring, without protective equipment would exceed that limit within minutes. The practice that built the auto body industry, the skill that separated a craftsman from a parts changer, became a federal violation the moment the government measured what it did to the men who performed it. The body shop in 1970 ran on 12 products that are now controlled by 5 federal laws, an international treaty, and 4 OSHA standards. Not one of them is used the way it was used then. The real question isn't why they were banned, it's how they were ever legal in the first place. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and watch the next video above.